Good afternoon, everyone. 4 o'clock straight up on the East Coast. It is indeed a Monday edition of Middays with you. As always, I'm your host, Rich Quiñones. We'll take you up to 6 o'clock straight up, as we like to call it, a Lunes Manolo Mentiroso Man Up Monday. We are coming at you from our good friends over at TriX 57. As I mentioned, 2 hours to play with on this 28th of July, 2025. Don't forget, as always, get social with us. You can follow along on X and IG, and of course, Rich Q on Q. TikTok, Rich Q on the mic. Like, comment, subscribe to the YouTube channel as well. We are fired off on the YouTube channel, TriX 57 Facebook. We've got some announcements to make regarding the show later on in the week, a couple extra segments. So some exciting stuff with college football and the NFL right around the corner. Hope everyone had a good sports weekend and you are staying cool because it's pretty nasty up and down the East Coast. Temps hitting like well over 100 degrees. So that's never, ever pleasant, if you will. What else is not pleasant is what's going on, what is probably going to go on with baseball. And I should say, what's going to go on eventually with baseball, where there might not be a season next season, which we will get into. And there's another gambling scandal in baseball. Like, what else? This is, again, the Pandora's box. It's been opened. And by the way, the trades going on right now are absolutely nuts with the trade deadline right around the corner. But the whole gambling issue, problems, here we go. Another player's been pinched. This time, by the way, another Guardians player, Emmanuel Clace, on the gambling probe. And again, this is where we're at. This is where we're at right now. So the Guardians placed a right-hander on non-disciplinary paid leave after originally being placed there July 3rd. After unusual gambling activity on 2 pitches he threw for balls, sources tell the mothership. Ortiz Lee was later extended to August 31st. By the way, this is a 3-time All-Star, a 2-time winner of the Mariano Rivera Award as the best relief pitcher in the AL, finished third in the AL Cy Young voting. Let's not forget about that last year. And also, this is the second player from Cleveland. So, it's becoming abundantly clear what's going on right now with the whole sports betting and sports gambling and sports. Like, I feel as though this story, if we really think about this, explain to me now, make it make sense to me, how you had Shohei Ohtani, millions of dollars lost when it came to his interpreter, millions of dollars stolen. Like, I don't know how you don't, you know, how you gloss over that. It makes absolutely no sense, right? It makes no sense. But yet, now you've got a player that's nowhere on the level of a Shohei Ohtani. And there's an investigation, several months, 2 players, and now all of a sudden the guy gets pinched. And with Shohei Ohtani, we just basically glossed over it. We just glossed over it. And again, it just, to me, it makes 0 sense. It makes 0 sense how we just gloss over it. And I don't know if baseball turns around and, I think Manfred, who I believe is also a horrible commissioner, and I'll get into him and Bryce Harper having comments. That came out as well. Not even comments, not even exchanging pleasantries, but turning around and having a full out argument regarding baseball, the cap, and all this other stuff. But how do you explain to me that Ohtani has his interpreter steal millions of dollars, and you don't even, you gloss over that. You gloss over that. So his interpreter's jailed because of $17 million. And then you look at his timeline, and his interpreter was charged with bank fraud because he stole 16 plus from Ohtani, according to a criminal complaint. And Otani acts as though, well, I didn't know a couple million. I mean, hell, you guys, if $1,000, 2,000 goes missing in your checking or savings, you're gonna know you're gonna know what the hell where to go, where to go. And then you had the whole issue September October 2023 when Otani's name allegedly appears on two wire transfers totaling 1 million with the classification again of loan attached to transactions. And we already know what Major League Baseball prohibits. We already understand what Major League Baseball has gone through in the past. We understand all this. But where I have an issue with this is you've got a player who's not even under, the right zip code is a guy like Shohei Ohtani. Okay? And again, we're just going to gloss over this. We're gonna gloss over this. And baseball has a problem. And then to add insult to injury, you've got the situation where Bryce Harper, I mean, what does it say when you have a player basically dropping F-bombs against a commissioner? And trust me, I'm not a fan of Manfred at all. I'm not. I'm not a fan of Rob Manfred. I think he's horrible for the sport of baseball. I don't think he appreciates the sport of baseball. I don't think he follows the sport of baseball. I don't even think he cares about the sport of baseball. I don't. So when Harper basically tells him, get the blank blank out of the Phillies clubhouse the other day, and they're going back and forth, and this is all because, again, Manfred is trying to placate himself and improve his relations with every team's players, every league, every team in the league in baseball. And what happens? You strike a nerve when you start to talk about, the potential implementation of what? A salary cap. And, Harper's kind of, let's be honest, for all the money that Harper gets paid, he hasn't really lived up to it. He just hasn't. Sorry. That's just the bottom line. He hasn't. But I understand his passion. I understand where he's coming from. And I understand that. And he's sitting there and he's quiet for a majority of the meeting. He's sitting in a chair holding a bat. He eventually gets frustrated, gets in the middle of the room and basically says, if you want to speak about this, you can go blank, blank, blank out of our clubhouse. Okay, fine. And then Manfred replied, I'm not going blank, blank anywhere. Now, before it intensified, again, players got to intervene. They got to intervene. And Harper's a passionate guy, but he's the last one. I mean, all the money that he's made in his freaking career, and let's be honest, hasn't won diddly. I mean, individual awards, sure. What about the World Series? He's not a champ. So that being said, I know where this is going. I know where this is going with the CBA and negotiations and a potential agreement in place or potential consequences. I think we all know. We all know that you're looking at the potential work stoppage going into 2027. You are. And it's basically, kind of been that dark cloud over baseball over the last several years. And players make a substantial amount of money. A substantial, and I don't dip into another man or player's pockets, but baseball has a desire for a salary cap. Baseball has always wanted a salary cap. You go back to 94, what happened? You had a great season, an exciting half a season, I should say. Montreal Expos coming out of nowhere. And the 94, you had to strike. Canceled the World Series, which was a direct response to the league's efforts to move to a capped system. And I don't believe the players are going to bite for it whatsoever. I don't believe the players are going to bite. I don't think the players are going to budge. I don't think the players are going to give in at all. I don't. I really don't. And I'm telling you right now, baseball has a major problem on their hands. They have a major problem on their hands because they're trying to appease a young generation of fans, and they've already had some issues with that. And the other thing is, when you go back, if you run it back, right? If you really, really run it back, and you talk about the potential of a lockout and a salary cap fight, here's the other issues. Manfred and some owners have basically cited, payroll disparity as a problem. And baseball is trying to figure out how do we address a revenue decline from our regional sports networks. And that's what hurts baseball because the NFL, the NBA, and the NHL, think about this, baseball has never had a salary cap because its players staunchly oppose one. And now you've got the luxury tax, which is going to be higher, right? It's already started to be higher back in 2022. You look at some of these payroll record levels, they're ridiculous. The last small market team to win a World Series, you got to go back almost a decade ago, and that was Kansas City back in 2015. So you've got salaries like Juan Soto, you've got salaries like Harper's, you got salaries like Judge, you got salaries like Otani. I mean, Soto, that deal is $765 million. New York opened the season with a industry high $326 million payroll. That's 5 times Miami's $69 million payroll, according to Major League Baseball. That is a major problem. So you're talking about luxury tax payrolls based on average annual values. You're talking about future commitments. You're talking about benefits. The Dodgers were the first at 400 and on track to owe a record luxury tax of about 151 million. That's absurd. It's going to happen. There's going to be a work stoppage. Period. There's going to be a work stoppage. You know it, and I know it. And again, that's one of the issues that baseball faces because baseball knows with the ratings and the decline, and again, losing some of these broadcast partners, losing some of these potential networks, not really having like a big time network. The NFL, it's different with the NFL network. I think right now, if you're Rob Manfred, I think you got to back off this a little bit. I really do. I think you have to back off this a little bit because the players know that they've got a window of X amount of years to make money. And I know that the players want full transparency. So anytime you have a boss manager come into the office and he gathers everyone around, you want full transparency. You also want a better understanding. You want a little better perspective on the company's, their path to revenue going forward. Right? You sit there at your job and all of a sudden you're like, you never seen this guy before. What are they coming in? They're going to fire people. Are they going to hire people? Is there going to be change at top? What's going on? Okay. Let me just tell you where we're at right now. Here's the direction. You got to make that monthly, that 2 times a year, that yearly type of appearance. So they want full transparency. Nobody wants a work stoppage in baseball. The players don't, and the league can afford to have one. They can't. So you have that issue going on. You have another issue with a player when it comes out with gambling. So it's like, I mean, you had the debacle of the All-Star Game festivities, which, let's be honest, they were debacles. And you got a sport that is struggling to kind of keep afloat to the NFL, which no one's going to match the NFL, period. They're not. And you have the trade deadline right around the corner as well. So we got a lot of baseball to get into today. Get your thoughts on that. Also, these stories now coming out in the NFL with this Raiders player is just ridiculous. I mean, I've got some thoughts on this Wilkins nonsense. Apparently, he kissed a teammate on top of his head, and it made other Raiders players feel uncomfortable. Now, that wasn't the sole reason that he was released or cut. I think he just didn't take his rehab serious. But, think about this. Because he was acting like a clown in his rehab, the Raiders decide we're going to void the remaining $36 million of your guaranteed money left on your contract. So we got some NFL to dive into. You got some player camp battles. We'll dive into that as well. So we'll kind of open it up. We'll get your thoughts. We'll take you up to 6 o'clock. And by the way, what are you guys manning up on this Lunes Manolo Mentiroso Man Up Monday edition of Middays with Q? I will say right now, I started to, and then I stopped. I started to watch again. I started to watch Happy Gilmore 2. Then I stopped it 20 minutes in, and I was like, this is bad. And then I was kind of reassured, just enjoy it because it's meant to not, you know, it's not going to be like the first, which, you know, whatever, was a goofy money. I went through it. I had my thoughts on it. I got a couple other shows I want to fire off to you guys. All right, 15 past 4 o'clock hour. We are cranking up. Always Vince chimes in to start us off. 4 on the dot. Nicely done, Q. This is what we do. We are on time, as always, on a Monday. But what do you guys have to man up on? I will tell you what I have to man up on. I will man up on my AL MVP. I'll do it right now. My AL MVP lock prediction of Aaron Judge. I'm in trouble with that one. Well, because he's injured now, which is not a good thing. I mean, he was a lock. He was an absolute lock. And now you got that flexor strain in that right elbow. So not good news if you are, like me, a Yankees fan. So I will man up on that. The Yanks right now, 5.5. This is getting really bad in the AL East. Boston and the Yankees, 5.5, 6.5 back. Toronto trying to run away with it. Then you turn around, you look at the NL East, and the Phillies right now all of a sudden are a game back. And the Mets, who were so bad a couple weeks ago, have won 7 straight. So we'll get into baseball. We'll get into some thoughts on perhaps a work stoppage. Also, a little more gambling scandals going on in baseball. And we'll dive into this NFL story, training camp news and notes with the season right around the corner. By the way, we upload it on Buzzsprout, also Apple and Spotify, all the audio from our divisional previews. So you can check them out on Back Your Play. That's up again. That's on Amazon, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts as well. So just type in Back Your Play. All right, 17 past 4 o'clock hour. We're going to crank up the comments on the other side, see what you guys have to say. What do you guys, some of you guys got a man up too with some of your nonsense from last week. And, de facto, I haven't heard a comment about the attire. So that's a good thing. 17 past 4 o'clock hour. We're cranking up on a Monday edition, Middays with Q. We'll take you up to 6 o'clock straight up. Keep it locked in right here on TriX57, TriX57.com, and, of course, X, and my YouTube channel, Facebook page as well.
This is what the Down Beach Seafood Fest is all about. It's about community, it's about friends, it's about culture, right? The food culture in Atlantic County is rich.
Hidden in an abandoned campground in South Jersey lies a mystical encounter with booze and spirits, where bonfires burn, shadows dance, and flavor favors the bold. Ghosts, ghouls, goblins, grown-ups, it's time to reclaim Halloween. This is Witchcraft, October 10th and 11th. For tickets and information, visit witchcraftnj.com.
Hi, I'm Bruce Pascoe. I'm very fortunate. Years ago, I found something that I genuinely like to do, and it's something that helps other people. What I do is help people transition from traditional health insurance into Medicare. I've been doing it here in Atlantic County for more than 20 years. If you're getting ready for Medicare, call me for a free consultation. 609-484-9800.
All right, 20 past 4 o'clock hour, a Monday edition Middays with Cute right here on Tracks 57 YouTube channel, X, Facebook. Don't forget to follow me. Get social. Very, very, very easy to do. We're live Monday to Friday from 4 to 6. Let us see what you goofballs are saying out there. De facto chimes in. Baseball cannot afford the downtime of a strike day cone slip below hockey in the pantheon of America's favorite sports. That'll never happen. It won't. This is no disrespect to hockey, but hockey is, again, we talked about this, right? NFL, and then really where you hang your hat, baseball, NBA, and then hockey's last no matter what. I don't see that happening. Now, I'll agree with you this. I will agree with you this. I don't believe they can afford a strike. I think that's a bad look for the sport, but I wouldn't say as much that they would drop on the totem pole. I wouldn't. You don't listen. You always want to avoid a strike, but the players. It's at the end of the day, it's the players, right? Because you've got this. They baseball is trying so many different things, which kind of annoys me as a purist. As a purist fan, it annoys me because I think your reputation takes a hit, right? So, I mean, imagine if the NFL were to strike and you miss 4 weeks of the NFL season, as fans, you guys are like, I missed 4 weeks of the NFL season. You're pissed off, but you're going to finish. You're coming back, are you not? You're going to come back. Now, I think with baseball, I think some fans, some purists might get to the point where they're annoyed and they might not come back right away. Or the younger fans, you kind of lose that. But I don't think it's going to slip and all of a sudden be an afterthought and hockey now takes its place. And I don't even know if that's saying much, to be quite honest with you. I mean, they cannot afford another extended labor dispute. You can't. Because you're talking about financial losses, and then the league's rep. That I will agree with you. Facts to fact, though, they're playing with fire. Honestly, they can fall behind soccer. Imagine being less popular than something we truly don't care about. Well, they're soccer fans. Hold on now, Vince. They're soccer fans. Hold on. They're soccer fans. I don't think it's going to slip, though. I don't. I really don't. I don't. I would be pissed if 5 cents was missing out of my account. That's still the thing. You're talking about the Otani, right? And I'll add on to that in a moment. Man chimes in, 423. Still messed up. I was here before 4. Q deleted the stream and restart. Oh, man. Q was busy buttoning up the collared shirt. That's why he was late. 4 o'clock we started, and we fired off. We always do the test prior to, so nice try on that. Why don't you guys man up and just admit some of you guys were running late? Vince says, man, he may have just been trying to ice you out. You've been getting his blood pressure a little high the past week or so. He needs a mental health break from you and I. No. MLB doesn't need a cap. They need a floor. Listen, baseball, see, you will criticize baseball, right? We'll criticize the sport. But yet, if our teams are in play late September, October, AL, NL pennant, up in the air, World Series, you're watching it. I believe the game's supposed to be played at a certain pace. I've always felt that way. So everything else, speeding up the game and these different, I'm not a fan of. I'm really not. I'm just not a fan of it. But they're trying to appease and they're trying to gain a young audience. And I'll say this, for those who poo-poo on soccer, think about soccer now over in Europe and think about how so many Americans gravitate towards Premier League, or they watch the World Cup, or they watch Copa. They're fanatical, man. They're fanatical. And you think about, again, what these teams are paying The transfer fees for some of these players is on another level. It's absurd. It's ridiculous. MLB needs regulation like European soccer. Some of these major league teams can probably field more competitive teams. Again, the money is absolutely insane when you look at some of the transfer fees that these clubs go through with some of these players. Period. With some of these players, it's unbelievable. It really is. It's just, I just, you can't even break it down what some of these players are making. But baseball players make some very good money. They really do. I mean, if you go and you look at the salaries of some of these players and the payrolls, I mean, look, obviously the Mets, the Dodgers, the Yankees, the Phillies, they have the highest payrolls in baseball. They do. And, what's the secret for a team like the Dodgers? What do? They do deferred payments. That's smart because it dramatically lowers the present day value of contracts. And obviously, who's making the bulk of that? That's Ohtani, 10 years, $700 million. So that lowers the luxury tax commitment and penalty. So now Ohtani is deferring $68 million of $70 million annual. So that lowers the present day value. The Mets have done that as well. There's a wave of those types of contracts throughout baseball. Juan Soto is not going to play the life of his contract. None of these players do. Remember the A-Rod contract years ago? Remember Josh Hamilton's contract years ago, many years ago? 15 years, $765 million. I mean, this is a contract that's got no deferral. So his salary is calculated at 61 million a year, which is the highest in baseball history. But he's not going to play the life of that contract. He's not. Albert Pujols' contract, the Mets, the Dodgers, the Yankees, the Phillies have the highest 1, 2, 3, 4, and Toronto, the 5 highest payrolls in baseball. This season in baseball. And the Marlins have the lowest at 67 million. The A's, second lowest, it's 73. Then Tampa, then Chicago. By the way, for a team that's as bad as Colorado, they're like, the bottom 10. I think 120 million. But these players, they break the bank. And this is here's a perfect example. Look at Steve Cohen. Now, would you sit there and say Steve Cohen is good or bad for baseball? Because Steve Cohen owns the Mets. Steve Cohen's net worth is $21 billion. So Steve Cohen, again, can spend whatever he wants. Not every team has a billionaire backing. So Steve Cohen decides, I'm going to pay these guys whatever I'm going to pay them. And I hope I get some type of return on my investment. $21 billion. Like, can you quantify that? Put it in perspective? That's his net worth. $21 billion. And we always talk about the NFL and Jerry Jones and this and that. It's absurd. It's absurd. A lot of the soccer teams, a lot of their owners in Europe, they have ridiculous worth. Their owners are billionaires. I think the owner of the Panthers is right around 21 billion too, Temper. Then you have Steve Cohen. Then I think after that you have, and the name is escaping me, that owns the Cleveland Cavaliers, Gilbert. So he's right there. And then you've got the Dallas Mavericks family, right? They got to be 2 or 3. I think right now the top is the one that owns I'll pull it up. That owns the Clippers. So they have money, especially in baseball, to spend, to deal with, right? Vince says, in honor of Coach Prime, I'm going to man up and get a full check from the doc. That's what you do. That's good. By the way, that's a good man up, Vince. That is a good man up. Yeah, that was tough news. I was reading that with Deion Sanders, but that's good to see that. Would they say he's cancer free? I know I was reading, he said he had to bladder cancer, but plans to coach. So he's had bladder cancer, but plans to coach. He said he had to write out his will. So yeah, he says he's cancer free. That's man, that's he's got health problems, man. You can only wish him the best, right? If it's the NFL, then the rest of them. Uh, Let me see. I guess that was from a previous comment. How about Ball 316 in Stillwater? Interesting. Are you hanging out with Matt Damon? You ever see that movie, Stillwater, right? When he was trying to get his daughter off the hook. She was jailed in, what was it, in Paris? And then, without me ruining it for you, that was not a bad movie. I can't wait for week one. A-Rod will throw for 313, 3 touchdowns and a pick, and Vince will be back in black and yellow. No, no, no. Yeah, that's a good question. So Oklahoma, did you find the good Lord down there? Any nice Baptist churches, revivals, sinners, saints? Are you giving away your paycheck? What is it? 20 to 30% goes back to the house, goes back to the church. I mean, Stillwater. Let's check out what are some things to do in Stillwater. What can we do in Stillwater? All right, let's see. I got to get the right Stillwater, right? So Stillwater is the 10th largest city in the U.S. state of Oklahoma, county seat of Payne County, located in north central Oklahoma at the intersection. Did you go through U.S. Route 177 and State Highway 51? That's what we want to know. Oh, we got events. All right, here you go. You can check out the OSU Museum of Art. You can check out the TBG model trains. That's not bad. Or you can go on an adventurous scavenger hunt. Or for the kids, you can do the Stillwater Children's Theater Presents Broadway Boot Camp Showcase. So there you go. We just gave you a list to do. See that? This is what we do. We educate on the show. Much like the Yankees, baseball needs a lot of help. I would also say, again, so do the Red Sox. If you watch Happy Gilmore 2, you see how a mortified, faster version of the sport failed miserably. Modified. Yeah, what was it called? Maxi Golf? There were 76, right? 76 appearances. 15 years, soccer will be number 2 in the U.S. market. I don't even think it's going to be 15 years. I really don't. Don't worry about what the attire is, because I always look sharp on the air. That's all you need to worry about, period. That's it. Collared up, we're good to go. Kiki taking the nap. That's what happens. It was like 90-something degrees today. Took her out several times, played with her, fed her, did the walksy, played with the squeaky toy, which she goes nuts over. But because it's so hot out, we don't want to run her into the ground and, obviously cause any issues with the pooch. So now she's taking a little nap, half asleep. I think she thinks she's missing something right now, which she isn't. I believe soccer will probably be number 2, well within, I can say, maybe 7+ years. I mean, the NBA, if they keep hitting that European market. But see, here's the other question I have. Here, okay, you bring up actually an interesting comment in this regard, de facto. If the NFL goes to 20 games, okay? If the NFL goes to 20 games and they expand, if they expand to, no, I didn't know. What are you talking about? The outlets in Atlantic City. Get out of here. It's a 7-minute van. Please shop online. Don't insult me like that. But they do have good prices out there. I don't even think they have those. They have the walk. I got some good watches there at one time. But anyway, if the NFL expands to 20 games and they add 4 teams, they add a team in Brazil, Mexico, and 2 in Europe because we know one's going to be in London, right? So now you've got expansion, you've got 4 teams, you got a 20-week regular season. Are you more inclined or less inclined to watch the product? If they expand the regular season and also add four more teams, which are going to be international, because as I told you, that's the direction the NFL is going, period. That's the direction they're going. So we talk about, is it still going to be numero uno? I think it is. What is this? Travel Channel, Manolo Monday. No, I'm just giving, Ball wanted to know what to do in Stillwater. We're just giving him a couple things, man. That's it. That's what I'm trying to do. He's visiting his family. He's visiting his brother, as he mentioned. He's part of the show. He chimes in. He's in Oklahoma right now with his family, and he's tuned me in. So we're just trying to give him some stuff to do, keep his mind occupied if the little rugrats are running around left and right. So I'm going to ask you guys again, if they expand to 20 weeks and they add 4 more teams outside the U.S., are you more or less likely to watch the product? And you'd be kidding yourself if you said you are not going to like the product at all. You would be lying to yourself. You would be lying to yourself. Use your gift queue. What is the cost of a lap dance in Stillwater? Ooh, that's a great question. That should have been a Monday question. Yeah, I don't even know that market. I mean, let me see this. What's the current time in Oklahoma right now? So we're an hour behind. 3:36. We're an hour ahead, pardon me. 3:36. So we're an hour ahead. So technically, if we're creeping de facto, if we're going by your question and we're going the timeline right now, because this is a good one. If it's 3:36, technically we are still bordering C teamish, maybe a slight crossover to B. It depends on what time the establishment closes. If they're closing at 2, then the A team's rolling in probably about 10. So if you get rid of the C team at 6, B team comes in till 10, A team comes in 10 to 2. I'm going to say, probably standard. You still got to get that 20 in there. I'm still going to say 20, period. I'm still going to say 20. OSU football practice. Nice. Got to take some photos on that. Post them online. See how that looks. Scott chimes in. What we got here? More NFL, the better for me. I'm pretty honest, right? This is great. So Scott's a Browns fan. So Kenny Slim Pickett, or as Angel says, Kenny Pickens, injured his hammy Saturday. So now Flacco is going to get the majority of the first team reps. Now, we'll talk a little more about this in the 5 o'clock hour with the NFL. But, Stefanski loves Kenny Pickett. And I still maintain that Flacco is going to be your week 1 starter if you are a Browns fan. Now, that also leaves the door open for Hill, Gabriel, and Sanders to get some reps, second and third team offense, respectively. But that is such a cluster of a situation. It really is. That's a horrible spot right now. Horrible spot. If you are a Cleveland fan, Russ chimes in. Q, they're not going to, speaking of baseball and Ohtani and the gambling, they're not going to do anything to jeopardize the Asian and Japanese market. So I think that was regarding the comment of how they gloss it over. And that's what I believe they did. Like, it makes no sense. So the Guardians decide we're going to put this kid on leave over a gambling probe, and now he's placed under non-disclosure pay leave. But yet, MLB just kind of glossed over Ohtani and his interpreter. Steve chimes in on Facebook. Q, that's the tip of the iceberg. I think there's more to that story. I really do. I think there's a lot more to that story. I really do. And I think if baseball really wanted to be fully transparent when it comes to the sports betting and the gambling and the players, you know, the no gambling policy, to me, I think it's always guilt by association sometimes. And I'm not going to sit here and tell you that Otani placed bets because that was just be very, I'm not even going to speculate. But there's no way you can tell me that your friend, your interpreter, just goes in your account and you don't realize millions of dollars is missing. It just does not add up. It just doesn't. It doesn't. We joke. You guys are married. You know, some of you guys have girlfriends. Some of you might be married with girlfriend. I don't know, but I hope not. But you might share accounts, or you might give access to certain accounts. Don't you know if money's missing, or if there's a large withdrawal or purchase? I think as husband and wife, you can question it if you didn't have any knowledge of it. I get the whole 50-50, what's mine is yours and yours is mine. But you're going to really try to tell me with a straight face that Otani's interpreter takes all this money and Otani had no idea what the hell was going on? I don't buy it. It does not make sense at all. It just doesn't. And I'm a huge Shohei Otani fan. And if it came to light that down the road Otani was involved in any form of gambling, that would be devastating for the sport. That's the other thing. That would be devastating. But I'm not, it just does not sit right with me that all of a sudden, all right, all this money is missing. And, you know, I don't know what happened. Like, if you back me in a corner, my opinion, I've had this, not even an argument, debate with Steve Gardner, but I believe Otani knew about his gambling. And if you knew about the gambling, you knew about the funds being withdrawn. And if you knew about the funds being withdrawn, well, you know, let's just kind of leave that up to interpretation, as Steve kind of said, right? De facto says NFL needs to add 8 new teams and 20 games. Portland, Salt Lake, Toronto, Mexico City, 4 teams in Europe. So they're definitely going to add teams in Europe. You already know that. Roger Goodell has said that. They want to add a team in Mexico. They want to add a team probably in Spain. They want to add a team, obviously, in England, in London, England. You know Jacksonville might turn around and be one of those teams. 8 new teams, though. So logistically, how would that work? That's another thing. How would that work, right? If you're going geography-wise, and I'll let you guys decipher it and figure it out. So we got 32 teams right now, 32 NFL teams. Now you're going to add 40. So with that being said, how many of these teams in the States, let's just go by the premise you have 4 teams overseas, whether it's 2 if you have them in 2 in Mexico and 2 in Europe, or 1 in Mexico and 3 in Europe, or 1 in Mexico, Brazil, and 2 in Europe, whatever. Now you got to figure out, okay, fine, we're going to put them isolated division. And then what about travel and logistics? Do you think these teams really want to fly out multiple times outside of the state? Players hate the game in London. They hate the game in London. They dread it. They dread it. Now, if you're adding these teams and you're expanding the season, or you're stretching out the season and adding more games, then what else do you have to do? You also have to expand the playoffs. And what else you have to do? You also have to pay the players more money, right? Although respectfully, no Salt Lake, maybe Oklahoma or Alabama, huge football markets. Yeah, Salt Lake, Toronto. Why would you stick a team in Canada, though? You got the CFL. Why would you do that? You got the CFL. You got the Canadian Football League, right? You got Toronto, you got Winnipeg, you got Montreal, you got Ottawa, right? I think you have two, right? The Stampedes and the Rough Riders, right? You got the BC, British Columbia Lions. I don't see Canada as an option. I don't, but I definitely see London. I think Jacksonville wants to move to London so bad. That owner absolutely loves playing. Now, they have a strong presence in London. So maybe now, to de facto's point and to Vince's point, maybe you take these teams and you have it as an international, NFL international like series, right? So right now, the agreement is you play one home game at Wembley Stadium. And Jacksonville's fan base in London, it seems like they're more popular than they are in Jacksonville. Sorry, Vince. But Khan, remember now, also owns, I think, a club in London, and they've committed 1.4 billion, right, renovation of their Jacksonville Stadium in a 30-year lease. So that tells me there's a strong commitment to remain in Jacksonville. But I bet you he will love, and you probably can't do it because it'd be a conflict of interest. He would love to have his little hand in the cookie jar with a team over in London. They would love that. And maybe, I don't know, maybe they play 8 games in London and then play 9 or 10 back in the States. I don't know. But logistically, it seems like a nightmare, does it not? Like the NFL would really have to think this out. Now, if you asked me, I am still going to watch. I don't care if you add 3, 4, 5 more teams in the NFL. I don't know what kind of competition it would be. I don't know if it's going to be word competition. I have no idea. We just don't know. And the other thing is, you got to think, if you're a player and you got to kind of relocate, now you got to go overseas. I mean, I think it's different with basketball when these guys play overseas because it's like 2-3 months at a time. It's never really a prolonged stretch. Now you're saying August, September, October, November, December, January, possibly February. You're talking potentially 7 months. NFC, AFC, West geographically need more teams. Salt Lake is growing, could support a team. Division would need some realignment as well. Dallas out of the NFC East. Now you're really trying to reinvent the wheel here, right? Just make 2 conferences, but keep rivalries in the schedule. So you're basically saying old school AFC, NFC, and that's it. No, money's not a problem. Money's never going to be a problem for the NFL. Ever. You stick one team in Canada and the entire country will root for them. That is essentially a 20 million person. I honestly, but you got the CFL. Why don't you take one of the strongest CFL teams then and you merge that and you have that as an NFL team? I know they want to expand because they know how much money they can make. And remember too, the London games, they're a partnership. That's all that is. That's the NFL's doing it strategically. That the league basically wants to have that global reach. They want to attack that UK fan base. They want to. And playing over there, even though the players hate it, from a franchise, from a Jacksonville Jaguar standpoint, the money. I mean, I just pulled it up. Those London games, you talk about a revenue stream for Jags, the team retains 100% of the revenue from games played at Wembley Stadium. That's a win. That's a win. I know there's no plans for them to relocate, but man, I know that owner would love to. That owner would love to have, both hands in 2 separate cookie jars. Keep Jacksonville with that new lease, 30-year agreement, new stadium in Jacksonville in the States, but also have a team in London. He would love it. He would love it. Love it. And there are certain teams that, Mexico, they absolutely love the Raiders, obviously. You have a larger Hispanic, Spanish-speaking market down there in those parts in Vegas with the Raiders. Mexico, they have a huge contingent of Raiders fans. So you can see that working out with a team. You can probably see a team maybe in Spain, and you can definitely see a team, I would say, in London. I just don't know. Franchise chimes in Glasgow, Delaware. Q. I think London's a pipe dream. I don't think you're going to add 2 or 3 more teams. I can definitely see Mexico, but what about Brazil? Brazil, maybe, sure. I mean, we just saw it last year, right, with Green Bay and the Eagles going out there. I mean, this is the one thing we can say about the NFL: the marketing, the expansion, the 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 forward thinking, uh, their global market. It's huge. It's huge. It really is. How about this? How about you had a team in Switzerland? You had a team in, the Swiss Alps, Swiss Miss. You had a team there. You're going to get new teams. You are. You. I mean, it is a done deal. Like, apparently they have global markets programs for 2025. So Baltimore is granted rights in the UK. Green Bay is granted rights across Germany, Ireland, and the UK. The Chargers are granted rights in Greece, Washington, UAE, and then there are 2 new markets. Let me see. Here it is. In 2025, 9 clubs that currently hold GMP rights will expand to additional countries, acquiring between 1 to 3 territories per club. So Arizona adds Canada, Detroit adds Brazil, the Colts add Switzerland, Kansas City adds Spain, Ireland, and the UK. The Raiders add Australia and New Zealand. The Rams add UAE. Philadelphia adding Brazil. San Fran adds UAE. And Seattle adds Australia and New Zealand. So apparently, NFL clubs can apply for rights to international markets by submitting proposals to the International Committee for review every spring. Fascinating stuff. We're going that way. We're going that way. Vince, would you be a Jags super fan if they moved to London? That's a great question. I think Vince would actually pack up and do it. I think he would go over to London, hang out, walk the streets, little smoke and joke, don his Trevor Lawrence jersey. By that time, let's see if that's in 5 years, Trevor Lawrence will be probably bagging groceries, but he will support. Vince says, Q, I generally think regulation could work in baseball, gives lower teams incentive to not trade away every young player. Major league teams like the Pirates have to start being serious about winning. Well, so it's a very well thought out comment. I just don't believe the players. You're talking about the cap. The players won't go for it. They just won't. The one thing about baseball, you have to understand when we talk about the NFL, NHL, NBA, and MLB, out of those 4 leagues, the strongest players union by far is MLB. By far. It is the strongest union. It is just it is they do not play around. They don't. I've said this for years. I maintained it. It is the strongest union. It really is. It's the strongest. It's widely considered the strongest union in all professional sports. Because if you go back over the last 20, 30, 40 years, the union has done a great job negotiating for player benefits. And they have that solidarity. And that's huge, man. That's huge. All right, fast approaching 5 o'clock. Quick timeout. We'll come back. We'll reset the table. NFL on the other side. Vince says, as long as Travis Hunter is a Jag, so am I. There you go. He is officially defected from Steelers, Aaron Rodgers, Mike Tomlin, another 9-8 campaign to being a Jags fan. Fast approaching 5. We'll take you up to 6. Come back on the other side.
This is what the Down Beach Seafood Fest is all about. It's about community, it's about friends, it's about culture, right? The food culture in Atlantic County is rich.
Hidden in an abandoned campground in South Jersey lies a mystical encounter with brews and spirits, where bonfires burn, shadows dance, and flavor favors the bold. Ghosts, ghouls, goblins, grown-ups, it's time to reclaim Halloween. This is Witchcraft, October 10th and 11th. For tickets and information, visit witchcraftnj.com.
Hi, I'm Bruce Pascoe. I'm very fortunate. Years ago, I found something that I genuinely like to do, and it's something that helps other people. What I do is help people transition from traditional health insurance into Medicare. I've been doing it here in Atlantic County for more than 20 years. If you're getting ready for Medicare, call me for a free consultation. 609-484-9800.
All right, fast approaching 5 o'clock hour. We'll take you up to 6. Let me get to some of these tweets on Mike chimes in. So, Q, good stuff on baseball and gambling. I agree with Otani. I think there's smoke, there's fire. But how about this? Baseball is so concerned about potentially having gambling violations committed by the Cleveland Guardians pitcher. But yet, if you turn around and you watch all the games, what is it? Bet 10, get 50 in free bets. It makes absolutely no sense. Oh, by the way, BetMGM, your official sports betting partner, Major League Baseball. Yeah. Yank6 chimes in, Q, with all these players getting caught, you're all telling me Otani wasn't. His boy got paid to take the hit. MLB's baby boy can do no wrong. On the Hook chimes in, Q, advertising, prioritizing gambling throughout every aspect of sports, then wondering why players get caught. Blank, blank, you baseball and your double standard. That is the problem. There you go. That is a problem. Like, this is what I'm saying. It just, you open up these can of worms and you guys are dead on. You're dead on. Oh, here's $1,000 and we'll match. Oh, by the way, promo code MLB, picks. I mean, it's just, come on. This is the 5th in the last year. And baseball has embraced gambling going back a couple years ago. So the more baseball takes money from casinos and gaming companies, this is what's going to happen. It's exactly what is going to happen. And I got to read more about, what this kid was doing, but, or the bets place, but it just does not make sense at all because it's getting weird. Baseball is now selling their soul and now it's having a negative effect. And by the way, this is all, think about this. The man who really was the poster boy for all this, who's no longer with us, Pete Rose. I mean, rolling over right about now. Like, let's kind of sum up the last 24 or so hours. Harper told Manfred, go take a walk. This kid's been pinched again. And then let's not even talk about the nonsense I saw in the stands in the Yankees game. Like, what the hell's going on? I mean, it's a horrible look. Bob chimes in, Q, excellent point. Maybe baseball shouldn't partner up with so many gambling sites. Yeah. Yeah. Jay turns around and says, Q, if baseball is getting, if MLB players are getting suspended for betting on themselves to be bad, but let's keep having gambling sites sponsor quite literally everything. That's where we're at. That's why you can't, part of me is like, I can't really blame the players. I can't. I mean, I don't see, again, the benefit if you're a player and you're making millions of dollars, why you would risk it. But I also believe that the leagues are at fault as well, if that makes sense. The leagues are at fault because they're embracing this. Like they know that this is going to happen, but they don't care because they're getting their nut, they're getting their money, they're getting their cut. So we want to sit here in one breath and talk about, well, it's not good, right? Because we know about addictions and stuff like this. And now you got the players who are being caught up in this, but yet baseball is embracing it. The NBA is embracing it. The NFL, the dirty secret, the worst kept secret, is embracing it. So it just, you got to let that sit and marinate, right? Just marinate it. And this is, Manfred wants to punish these players. Okay. So now that Clace is suspended, but yet Manfred in baseball just bear hugs gambling a few years ago. Because Rob Manfred decided, I'm going to take the money for sponsorships. And oh, by the way, now we have a problem. They've done a piss poor job handling the gambling stuff. They really have. Mike chimes in, Q, I know you're not supposed to glorify, but let's be honest. Gambling is so toxic to sports. MLB, NBA, NFL welcome their gambling partners with open, greedy arms. And it's going to lead to more and more massive scandals. It is. It is. But when you have these entities partnering up with online sports bettors, and now you're suspending a player for suspicious bets placed on single pitches that are only what's the word I'm looking for? Showcased or highlighted or available with some of these online apps, then that's on you. Like, does anyone not see the hypocrisy? Right? It just doesn't make sense. It is. It is a contradiction. It's like, there's no way you see in the tunnels, you see in the locker room, there's no betting on the game, but yet you're in bed with all these apps. You're in bed with all these, whether it's FanDuel or DraftKings or 365 or BetMGM, whatever it is, Hard Rock, whatever. You're in bed with all of this. You didn't think this crap was going to happen? You didn't think it was going to happen in the NFL? You knew it was going to happen in baseball. We've gone down this hole before. We've gone down this rabbit hole. We've taken this ride before. We've seen this movie. We know how it ends. That's why it bothers me when you have these commissioners standing up there making hundreds of millions of dollars and they're spitting in your face. They really are. They're telling you one thing that is an object lie. It is a flat out lie, what they're telling you. How it's under control. You know, Adam Silver, forward-thinking commissioner, right? But yet, you know, turns around, didn't want to back the betting, now backs the betting, and now you look at everything going on in the NBA with the Porters, with the Roziers, you know, name the player. Like, you know, these guys, ultimately, it's about greed. That's all it is. Because somebody comes over to them, they whisper in their ears, and they say, hey, if you did this, the league's going to make X amount. You're going to make more to your salary. You're going to be the hero, which is going to open up more what? Advertising rights, broadcasting rights, network deals, you name it, shoulder programming, content driven, play these props. Here you go around the NBA. Here's some, NBA nuggets. Here's your best play, your best picks brought to you by X, Y, and Z. It's all about greed, folks. It's all about money. Money, ego, power. That's all it is. That's it. Silver, this was 10 years ago when he wrote that op piece in the Times. I remember. I printed that sucker out. Talking about the importance of regulation in the industry, right? We're already seeing, you got to regulate it. Why? Because you're already seeing massive illegal bets. But you turn around and you ban a journeyman player in Jonte Porter, but yet you want to sit there and you want to allow the gambling to take place or the legalization or regulation of sports betting. Come on, man. You can't have it both ways. You can't. You can't have, it's like controlled chaos, man. You can't. And it just does not make sense. I'm not even going to sit here and tell you it's fair, because life's not fair, but it's, you've got the warden, right, that is controlling the jail, controlling the populace, right? You got the inmates, and we always say you never let the inmates run the asylum, but you got the warden, and you got all these, these inmates right now, cell block A, B, C, and D, but yet he's making concessions. You can do X, Y, and Z and A, but you can't do X, Y, and Z and B. You can do X, Y, and Z and C, but you can't do it in, cell block D. It's just, there's no rhyme or reason to it. And Goodell's the worst. I mean, Goodell is basically laughing all the way to the bank. He's laughing all the way to the bank. I'm telling you, what's going to happen when a Patrick Mahomes-like player of that stature, a Rodgers, a Mahomes, a Hurts, a Burrow, a Allen, what's going to happen when, I'm not saying those players per se, but I'm saying a marquee, we're talking about a recognizable face, man, a big-time recognizable face, not a Calvin Ridley, but, we're talking a franchise player, a guy we're like, oh my goodness, I can't believe this. What happens when that player gets pinched for gambling on NFL games? Is the same type of punishment going to come down? Do we really believe in our heart of hearts? And I got to use these players as an example. If a Joe Burrow, if a Josh Allen, if a Patrick Mahomes, if it came out tomorrow that Patrick Mahomes bet through a bookie or an offshore app or an online app or through a buddy of his, a buddy's brother's neighbor's sister on the Super Bowl, you really think that Mahomes is suspended for an entire season? Do you really think Mahomes is banned for life? No way. But it's easy to ban, the lower tier player, the journeyman player. Same thing in the NBA. If it came out that LeBron James was betting on finals games, you think the punishment LeBron James gets is the same type of punishment we saw these other players get handed down? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I don't even know what happened to that app. That was a good spot, by the way, man. You keep saying the bad guy from Walking Tall, and I don't see it, but I know what you're saying. Just have the players pay into gambling like 401k and leave to experts. I'll place bets for them. I know a guy with a winning pedigree. I listen and watch him at 4. I appreciate that, Scott. Thank you very much. Yeah, we might be in cahoots there. There might be some issues like that. They won't allow it. They won't. And I'm telling you right now, there's no shot a player like Mahomes. I'm sorry. If September, October rolls around and Patrick Mahomes is pinched for betting on Kansas City Chiefs games, there's no way Patrick Mahomes. I think maybe Patrick Mahomes gets a 4-game suspension. That's it. That's it. You think for 1 minute that they're going to lay the lumber with Patrick? What the hell did Brady get for Spygate, Deflategate, which was so mishandled? So mishandled by the NFL and Goodell, if you remember. I mean, they screwed the pooch on that. Deflategate. Come on, man. That was so stupid. Deflated ball, Deflategate. So dumb. What did he get? A 4-game suspension, which was a joke. Shouldn't have gotten suspended. He shouldn't have. And a $1 million fine, which is a drop in the hat by the Patriots, and a couple of draft picks. I mean, that whole Deflategate and it's the same thing with the Spygate. I mean, come on, what? Spygate, they were doing that crap in the 70s and the 80s. They were spying on teams. I don't want to hear any of that stuff. But the Patriots, again, the NFL, axe to grind, Goodell, Kraft, there you go. Even though they were tight at one time, it was the perception that Spygate was worse than was ever made public. It was just, it was a makeup call. That's all that was. A makeup call by the NFL. That's all that was. We missed a call. We're going to get you on the backside. So going back to what de facto says, no one's bigger than the shield. Mahomes gets banned. No, he doesn't. He doesn't. Nope. Or there's going to be a fall guy. It wasn't me. It was a friend of a friend. It was a friend of a friend. Not a shot the NFL would ban a superstar for gambling in the NFL. I tend to agree. And I'm just using, again, I'm just using him because we're talking about prominent names, right? Prominent franchise quarterbacks, whether it's a Burrow, an Allen, a Mahomes. Rodgers in his prime. Rodgers getting pinched. You think Rodgers is getting a lifetime ban? No way. No. Q, does a superstar of that caliber gets caught? Would it force a rules change if it's so obviously different? So there's two schools of thought with this. I still maintain, what's the benefit? Like, Patrick Mahomes has made hundreds of millions of dollars. Aaron Rodgers, hundreds of millions of dollars. Burrow, hundreds of millions of dollars. Allen, hundreds of millions. Hurts, right? All these guys have made hundreds of millions of dollars. They've made money that's generational wealth. Generational wealth. I think the only reason a player like that, of that stature, that magnitude, would get caught placing bets on either the outcome of the game, other games in the NFL, or say like his own player props, is because it comes out that they are beyond a compulsive gambler, which I think you would already see the red flags. That's number one. Or they're doing this for somebody else. The risk to reward, it's not there, man. Now, I use those guys in examples because I'm trying to make a point that these leagues pick and choose how they want to handle and hand down punishments. And that's another problem that I have, but that's why you can't go against the NFL. They will squash you. They will squash you. I'm going to have on probably another week or two, and we're trying to work out the logistics, but James Hasty, good buddy of mine, good friend, played in the NFL 10 plus years, I think second team All-Pro, Kansas City, played with the Jets, drafted by the Jets, played with Kansas City, a cup of coffee late in his career with the Raiders, played on some very good Chiefs teams. He was a phenomenal defensive back, cornerback. Remember, that bump and run coverage back in the day when he was with Kansas City, made very, very famous. As I mentioned, second team All Pro. I think he led the league in picks at 99. Was an All Rookie. I think the Jets All Decade team. But if you go back to his career in Kansas City, he was part of that famed, bump and run coverage. So when you talk about the bump and run, it's pretty much it was predicated on who was it? Man, it was James and oh my goodness, it's totally slipping my mind. Not was it McMillan? It's just totally, um, totally just slipping my mind. But anyway, he's come up with a Dale Carter. Dale Carter, that's who it was. Dale Carter. They were phenomenal. But he created what's called CPAS, which is Coaching Performance Assessment Systems. And it's analytics, it's data-driven analytics that basically grade coaches in the NFL. And the reason he came up with it was to kind of eliminate what's the word I'm looking for? Bias when it comes to the coaching practice, because we know that the Rooney Rule, let's be honest, with all due respect, is a sham. So he created this to examine the success metrics of set applicants. So, like, let's just say this was installed. Why isn't Eric Bieniemy getting a head coaching job? Is he not interviewing well? Is he rubbing people the wrong way? What's the problem with Eric Bieniemy? Well, here you go. We're going to grade it out. He's an applicant. We're going to grade him out for this coaching position. And we're going to let you know at the end of the day if he's a good hire or not. Now, you're talking about sports technology. That's what you're talking about. You're talking about a guy that was a premier bump and run cornerback in the NFL for 14 seasons. He acquired all this data. And I'm telling you all this for a reason. He was given the green light by the NFL, which is very rare, to contact every team and pitch this product. Hey, this is where we think your coaching staff is. If you're going to start bringing guys in, this is what you need to do. Now, the NFL never, ever gives that type of power. That shows you the respect that he's garnered. But now the flip side of that, to show you how powerful the NFL is, the NFL is throwing him a bone saying, sure, you can pitch this to teams, but there's no way in hell the NFL wants to utilize this. They don't, because all this would show is deficiencies. It would show a lot of egg on face. And the NFL doesn't want that. The NFL holds itself to a certain, regard, right? A level. The last thing they want is a former player coming in with some data and basically telling 32 teams, you shouldn't have hired these guys. Like, the pushback has been unreal. But James is also astute and smart to the point where he knows, can't go against the NFL. I'll get squashed because of the data he has, because of the information. Now, again, I say all this to say all this. When you think the NFL, we're always talking about protecting the shield. You guys are 100% correct. But they also know they don't want to, where their bread is buttered. And it goes back to the whole Mahomes kind of thing. It goes back to the Allen thing, the Burrow thing. There's no way on God's green ass, none, that they're going to sit there and they're going to turn around and they're going to give a lifetime ban to Patrick Mahomes. No way on God's green earth. There's none. They won't do it. They would never do it. They're powerful. You don't blank with the NFL. They'll squash you like a grape when it comes to the faces of the franchises, when it comes to the faces of the NFL that they believe still protect the shield, they will not do it. They won't. I mean, I can't wait to have James on because, he's disclosed to me emails and text messages and like the response he gets regarding this. And a lot of people think too that it's not based this is based on race. It's not. It's based on performance. And the last thing a GM or an NFL owner wants to be told is, you had the wrong hire. Like, you're telling me my job, now I'm pushing back, I'll squash you like a grape. That's the power the NFL renders, no doubt. But when it comes to this, the gambling, the betting standpoint, when you have these players that are out there, you have to weigh the risk to reward. A guy like Mahomes, if the Kansas City is favored by 6 points against Denver, and all of a sudden you see a 4.5 point swing, well, either Mahomes isn't playing or a substantial millions and millions and millions of dollars has been bet on said team, whether it's going to drop to 2 or bump to 10.5. And that opens up the eyes to who? The books, the outlets, the online entities, and the NFL. So I only use those guys just to make my case that even if they were to do something as foolish as that, it's a slap on the wrist. It is. If Patrick Mahomes did what Ridley did, Patrick Mahomes is getting a 4-game suspension. If Josh Allen did what Calvin Ridley did, he's getting a 4-game suspension. He is. He's not getting banned for life. He's not going to lose a season out of his career. They're not doing that. They won't do that. They know better. They know better. Ridley was suspended indefinitely for the conclusion of 2022, right? If you remember that. And again, where he got hurt the most was in a wallet because he had to forfeit a base salary of $11 million. So he was suspended the entire season, but the Falcons still traded him to Jacksonville. Now, obviously, he's playing with Tennessee. But that's a guy that's not even on par. No disrespect to Calvin Ridley, good player, but he's not a Patrick Mahomes. He's not. He's just not. He's not Justin Jefferson. There you go. Joey B. Scatterboo, explosive, small. Can he survive a 17-week season without an injury? He had shoulder issues while at Arizona. Could be a great special teams player and flex player on offense. You pulling the Woodhead? Listen, he's getting the touches. He's getting the reps. I like him. I think he's going to be a good player. I don't think he's going to be a 25 carry running back for the Giants. That's why they have Tracy. I think they still have Singleton on the team. But he'll be like a little change of pace kind of back. He will. I like the kid. They've got some weapons, man. I want to see Robinson get healthy. Forget about Robinson. You got Neighbors. Still got Slayton back there, right? You got the moon ball being thrown out there, Hyatt with the speed. You got Theo Johnson. He's a good-looking tight end. It's the offensive line that worries me if you're a Giants fan. But I like the kid Scatterboo. I do. I just like saying the name. Scatterboo, 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 Scatterboo. Scatterboo should be effective, not sure, as running back. Yeah, not every down running back for sure. Not. But I do like saying the name. Scatterboo. Scatterboo. There you go. Man, just listen. Change of pace. There you go. Could be the Gibbs Montgomery backfield. Yep. Kind of like that thunderish lightning. The Great Dane, Ron Dane, Tiki Barber, switch it up a little bit. But he's playing well in camp. But again, don't get enamored with training camp, guys. Let me get to a couple of these NFL. Marty in Delaware chimes in. Q, I'm not going to totally agree with you. I think if Patrick Mahomes did something like Calvin Ridley, I definitely think there's going to be a harsh punishment. But I do understand that the NFL would be conflicted with it. Yeah, because if you take Patrick Mahomes off the Chiefs, are we watching Sunday Night Football, Monday Night Football, Thursday Night Football, Kansas City playing without Patrick Mahomes? Plus, it's also going to derail their chances to get to the postseason. win a division, get back to the Super Bowl. It's telling you guys, man, they pick and choose. They pick and choose. But when you're making 65, 70 million a year, whatever the hell Roger Goodell is making, the owners love him because he makes money. He makes them money. And what people also forget is sports betting has become the norm. The norm. You got 40 plus states. Now you can bet on sports in some capacity. 2024, 2023, 2024, you're talking revenues of 10.9 billion, which was like 45% increase from the prior year. That's according to the AGA. Now, you still have illegal sports betting, of course. We know that. And there's always drawback to it. And the NBA will tell you there's drawback to having sports betting becoming easily accessible because you had to border stuff, right? The porter. You're betting on games, you're disclosing information, you're influencing player props, which is a no-no. But yet, it's like you can't be a little pregnant. I mean, you're saying that's a no-no, but you're also inviting it. And that's the rub. That's the rub, right? You misread Q. I said more than a change of pace. I think more. Oh, I'm sorry. I apologize. Did you say that? Did you say? Let me check. Need to room. Yeah. Read the room. Yeah, I didn't. And I apologize for that. That's a Man Up Monday. That's a Lunes, Manolo, Mentioso, Man Up Monday. I did not. I like to say Quiñones, like Q, has to say scataboo. Exactly. Into the grandando, sent about to lightning, very, very frightening. Thoughts on thoughts on Happy Gilmore 2. I mean, I went back and I finished it. I don't know. I mean, you got to kill off the wife, right? I like Scooter McGavin. I like that. I didn't know there were 76 cameos. Did you guys know that? There were 76 cameo appearances in Happy Gilmore 2. I mean, you've got let's see. You had the mainstay, right? You had Adam Sandler. By the way, do you know how much Adam Sandler got paid for that because he signed that deal with Netflix? $246 million. I thought Ben Stiller was funny. I thought Bad Bunny was good. I didn't even realize. I went back and I had to, check online. Eminem, right? Always like Kevin Nealon. Always like Steve Buscemi. Always. Rob Schneider, you can do it. I mean, it was, if you went in thinking it was going to be like the original, I mean, I really shouldn't say that because the original was goofy too. Here's my problem with some of these sequels, right? Here's my problem. You go in with this thought that it's going to be just as good. Like, if there are some movies you should not try to remake, there are some movies you should not have sequels to. You shouldn't. There shouldn't be a remake of White Man Can't Jump. You should never have had a Coming to America 2. Like, I'm even nervous about Spaceballs 2 because Spaceballs is one of my all-time favorites. I mean, come on, it's all about the Schwartz. I am very nervous about Spaceballs 2. There are just certain movies that I think you should just kind of you leave alone, especially these comedies. I mean, you can't do a Caddyshack 2, which, by the way, I think 45-year anniversary the other day. There are just some movies that you need to leave alone. Like, if they ever did a Trading Places 2, I would be like, no. Coming to America is a classic. You ruined it with Coming to America 2. Like, there are some movies that are not. They're action movies. You're always going to get the sequels because they're going to suck the life out of you. Drain the blood out of you. They're going to keep going and going and going and going and going. because they know if the first one's a hit, they can probably get away with a couple more, right? Die Hard was a classic. Die Hard 2, eh. Die Hard 3, eh. Right? I mean, these are not like, you know, uh, great, great, great movies. Live Free or Die Hard 4, it's not like the original. Lethal Weapon 2, Lethal Weapon 3, Rambo was able to get with it, First Blood, Rambo, the Rocky franchises. They know. They know when they have someone hooked, when they have an audience hooked. Period. Period. But, you know, Gilmore 2, I'm just not sure. Yeah, I mean, I liked having the golfers in it. That was cute. Yeah, Beverly Hills Cop. It was okay. See, they should have at the very end. He should have basically said, "Hey, I know a place. Trust me." And then he did his laugh. Huh, huh, huh. It was good. It wasn't great. It was good. But remember too, like those guys, all those actors that we grew up with, man, they were like larger than life. Everyone gets old. You put on a couple pounds around the waist and you get a little slower. Running down criminals, right? So it is what it is. Jaws, they should have never been a 2 and 3. Horrible. How about 4? How about 4? How about a Jaws 4 The Revenge? How about sticking poor Michael Caine in Jaws 4? That's horrible. The original Jaws, leave it alone. Leave it. It was perfect. It was perfect. Of course they do. Look at how many times the same Marvel movie came out, reskinned, rebranded, then kill it at the box office. Yeah, but that's Marvel. I'm not comedies are different. You're talking Marvel. You're talking all the Star Warses, the Star Treks, the Marvel stuff. Oh, there we go. See now, Scott, I'm gonna get the Joey hangover, and those sequels weren't as bad. Scott, now he knows. He gets it. Only good sequel, Godfather 2, which you might say is better than Godfather, which I still maintain the original is arguably just top 2 or 3 movie of all time. Godfather 2 is right there. It's just the Marvel franchises totally different. Action movies, you can kind of get away with it, right? But you're not going to do, are you going to do, I don't know. I'm trying to think. Even like with The Hangover, the original was good. Like they did all the Hunger Games. Those were good, right? Road Warrior, the original, better than Mad Max. Well, remember, Mad Max came first, then obviously Road Warrior. Mad Max in what, 78, 79, and then, of course, Road Warrior in 81. Agree, original still the best in my opinion. Godfather 3, Coppola's daughter, and that's so bad. Sure. By the way, I believe, what was this? Is it Sofia Coppola, right? Sofia Coppola. I mean, well, first of all, yeah. I mean, look at the storyline. What was it? First cousins, her and Andy Garcia. Come on, rolling. What were they rolling? The gnocchis in the kitchen. I mean, what are we doing here? Seriously, or what were they making the cookies? Come on, that's awkward enough. That's awkward enough. You got poor Al Pacino sitting there lying in the bedridden in the hospital. They bring him back home. Andy Garcia's shaving him, right? Taking care of the Don. And Pacino turns around and says, Vincent, what are you doing with my daughter? Come on. It's a bad look. That's a bad look. You know it and I know it. That was a bad movie, man. I liked Andy Garcia in that role. I did. But not good. Not good. But did you know that Sofia Coppola was in the original Godfather? She was the baby in the baptismal scene. Little nugget for you. How about that? I didn't realize we were just talking about comedy remakes. I apologize. Didn't read the room. Man Up Monday. Madman, Man Up Monday. So, well, I'm just saying in general. I think it's hard sometimes with comedy, like Spaceballs, right? For instance, they weren't, the cannolis. There you go. Yes, thank you. Yeah. No, well, rolling cannolis in the kitchen. Sure, why not? Uh, how about Ocean's 11 movies? I liked all of them, but the original. Now, did you see the original? The original Ocean's 11. I'm talking about the 1960 movie with the original Rat Pack, right? Frank Sinatra, Sammy Davis Jr., Dean Martin, um, who else? Peter Lawford, right? I think Angie Dickinson was in that one. There are just some movies like The Sting, classic. I don't need a Sting 2, but they came out with a Sting 2, which was horrible. Some movies just leave alone. And going back, some of them are not meant to have sequels. They're not. They're not. I mean, think about these sports movies. Like, can you do like Major League was a great movie, was it not? Major League, the original was great. Major League 2, Major League 3, what was there? Major League 4, Back to the Minors. I mean, that's not good. They're never going to be, you're never going to have a Hoosiers 2. Hoosiers is the original. God rest his soul, Gene Hackman, classic. You're not going to have a Blue Chips 2. I'm trying to think what else. The Program? No. The Replacement. I mean, think about all these great sports movies and the franchises or the sequels to them. Bad News Bears, the original was great, but was I all up and giddy with the Bad News Bears 2? Or the Bad News Bears and Breaking Training? Or the Bad News Bears Go to Japan? No. Leave the originals alone. Leave them alone. There's no reason to touch them. Period. Period. That is the original Rat Pack. Correct. Dark Knight, Batman Begins. I still think The Sting is again one of the all-time great. If you're a fan of con movies, like just the back in the day, The Hustler was a great movie because Paul Newman was one of my all-time favorite actors. And Jackie Gleason was in it. It was a great movie. Pool hustler, pool player. I have so many backstories to that movie. But the sequel to The Hustler, now follow me, was The Color of Money. And the interesting part, if you watch The Color of Money with Paul Newman and also Tom Cruise, it was Newman. Newman basically got blackballed from walking into pool halls after what transpired in The Hustler. So now you flash forward to like 20 something odd years. And I always thought Paul Newman should have won the Academy Award. He should have. Now, he was nominated for the Academy Award in 58 with Cat on a Hot Tin Roof, and then The Hustler in 61. Now, Cool Hand Luke was another fantastic movie in 67. But if you go back, never won those awards. So what happens? You kind of go, the second arc of Paul Newman's career, and he was fantastic in The Verdict, Absence of Malice. He was just fantastic. But if you go back to The Color of Money, well, he finally received the Academy Award. And a lot of people believe that it was a makeup call, slighting him early in his career. But that was a sequel. Hustler, because he reprised his same character, Fast Eddie Felsen, which was a classic movie, by the way. Classic. The Sting, should have kept it alone. It was horrible, a sequel. Horrible. Ruined it. Moneyball too. Oh, my goodness. John Wick, not bad. Not bad. Not bad. I'm a huge John Wick fan, by the way. No go on Youngblood 2. So there's two Youngbloods. Are we talking about the Youngblood movie in the 70s when he's the fighter in prison, or are we talking about the classic Youngblood movie? with The Man That Never Ages. That was a very good hockey movie. I liked it. I thought it was a good movie. I liked it. I had no problem with that. Rob Lowe, guy never ages. I think he's on that Atkins diet. I mean, he's just got porcelain skin. Unbelievable. Hustler was amazing. Yes, the classic. If you like that movie, watch The Color of Money. Also, if you like that movie, also watch The Cincinnati Kid. If so, you guys that play cards, if you are a true poker player, you'll watch Steve McQueen, Cincinnati Kid. The ending of that movie is phenomenal. I won't ruin it for you. Sources tell me Cannonball 4 is in the works. Yeah, Cannonball. You know what? You were able to get away with the Cannonball. You were. That was a great movie too. That was a really good, Cannonball Run movies were unbelievable. They were funny. But you also have to just kind of stop them after a while. Hey, by the way, I want to get into, did you guys see this story with the Raiders player? Like, there's something off with this story. So apparently, Christian Wilkins, he kissed a teammate on top of his head. Now, I'm not saying that's why he was subsequently released by the Raiders, but apparently he kissed a fellow player on the head and the teammate took offense to it. That's what sources tell the mothership. The incident was not the sole reason he was cut, sources said. He's been recovering from a Jones fracture, which he suffered in his left foot last October. Also, dancing around during rehab was never a good look on video, and then the Raiders voided out the remaining $35 million of his guaranteed money. So why are we adding in? I'm throwing it out there because I know sometimes you have to have uncomfortable conversations on the air. So we're throwing out there, he kissed a Raiders player on his head and it made the player uncomfortable. Really? I'm throwing it out there. Really? I mean, I'm sure that, there are, what's the word I'm looking for? I'm sure there's some sanctity, as we like to say, in the locker room, right? But I think that's a little, I think we're going a little overboard there. Like, all right, you kiss your teammate's head, top of his head, maybe joking around, maybe playing. You feeling comfortable? Fine. That's going to magnify the fact that the Raiders cut this kid. I'm not saying there's more to it. I just think, again, it's just lost $35 million, which he's not going to just roll over and give that up. You know that as much as I do. I don't know. I know it's the whole macho thing, right, in the locker room and stuff like this, and I just don't know. I honestly don't. I can care less. I see a couple of guys on X. I don't care what this guy's sexual preferences. I can care less. It doesn't bother me one bit. Nor should it bother you guys, honestly. But I just think there's more will come out again with stories like this. I mean, I don't think that's harassing a teammate, right? To be honest, I think, kind of got to back up when we start to talk about this kind of stuff. But isn't there always more to the story? There's always more to the story, as we like to say. Let's see. Former NFL offensive lineman Jonathan Feliciano on the report that Christian Watkins did something very weird that led to his release from the Raiders. And he tweeted out, quote, "Brother always been a little freaky." Now, see, you got to watch when you say stuff like that. You have to. Like, okay, maybe he's odd. So what? But now you're just going to, kind of dig into the guy a little bit. I don't know. Some of these dudes need to lighten the frig up, to be quite honest with you. They really do. Let's see. Sounds like Wilkins had some issues with other team or players. Ex-post and comments led us to believe he was a bit off. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what some people are saying. All right, we're going to 5:45 quick timeout. We'll come back on the other side. I see those comments, and we'll just have to regroup. We'll take you up to 6 o'clock straight up.
This is what the Down Beach Seafood Fest is all about. It's about community, it's about friends, it's about culture, right? The food culture in Atlantic County is rich.
Hidden in an abandoned campground in South Jersey lies a mystical encounter with booze and spirits, where bonfires burn, shadows dance, and flavor favors the bold. Ghosts, ghouls, goblins, grown-ups, it's time to reclaim Halloween. This is Witchcraft, October 10th and 11th. For tickets and information, visit witchcraftnj.com.
All right, couple minutes to play with on this Monday edition, a Lunes Manolo Mendioso Man Up Monday. I don't know. Some of you guys have not manned up at all on this Monday. Baseball has been absolutely wild with some of these trades, by the way. Ooh, what do we got here? Cortland Sutton, 4 years, $92 million for Bronco ball. Michael must be ecstatic. There you go. Sutton was in the final year of a 4-year deal, signed late in 2021. There you go. Oh, did you see that Scary McClary, as I like to call him, showed up at Commanders camp? I think he's a little nicked up, though. But he returned. He returned de facto, so I think the Washington Commanders are going to be okay heading into the season, which is right around the corner. Hold on. Q chat. Okay. I'm about to go on vacation to Bahamas, Atlantis Resort. I can't wait to get price gouge. Any insight on help before I get on a plane later in the week? Oh, is this a so hold on a second. So you're going to, well, I would say wallet in the front. Wallet in the front, always. Are you going to a casino? Are you going to be dabbling in a little casino games? I mean, you're gonna, no matter what, if you're going to a resort, you're going to get screwed. You're going to get, you're going to spend more money, right? Just got to be careful with the street vendors. That's all. You got to be careful with the street vendors. And anything that you're being sold there, say no. No, I'll never forget when I went to Paris. This was years ago. That's what I just said. That's why you put the wallet in the front. I went to Paris many, many years ago. And there was a guy on the street that was selling puppets. And I will never forget, read right through this Frenchman's BS, because he was basically like this, pretending through, like there was a little curtain, that the puppets were moving and they weren't on a string. It was like, he was doing it with the hand and he was explaining something. And you can tell these American tourists were just eating it up. And I'm like, nah, man. I can see the friggin' dental floss. So what happens? You get the jackass American tourist. Sorry, got to call it the way it is. You get the jackass American tourist, you know, puts out his money, gets the doll, takes it out of the box, and then realizes that it was dental floss that was hidden in the backdrop. You got to be careful. You got to be careful. He's there, but not participating. No deal. Oh, he's going to be there. While it's stolen, not good. Casino at Atlantis. Yes. Going to dabble a little. Yes. Always keep the wallet in your front pocket, man. You never stick it in the back. Always. In the front. Much more easier. You watch Sneaky Pete, Slippery Pete, right? Con Man Pete. He'll tell you. Watch it on Netflix. 3 seasons. He'll tell you. When they do the little bump and move. Come on, man. You got to have eyes. You got to have ears in the back of your head all over the place. I would probably say, too, if you're playing any table games, let's just say you're going to sit at a table, if you're going to play blackjack, be careful if it's constant shuffle. No bueno. I mean, again, you eliminate the need for the manual shuffling. Obviously, it speeds up the gameplay, right? So it makes card counting more difficult, depending upon if it's going to be multi-deck game. But again, not a fan of that. And the faster, right? That means you got to put your bets out faster and you lose your money faster. A little hand shuffle here and there. That's why they say never gamble on cruise ships. Never. All those games are just rigged. I've never heard of anyone winning on a cruise ship before. Ever. Seriously. I mean, the countless shuffling leaves zero room for counting, whether you can do plus or minus, right? Face cards with the value, lower cards. It leaves no wiggle room whatsoever at all. So, and remember too, there's a continuous shuffler and the automatic shuffler. So the shuffling machines, they come in 2 main variations. Just kind of throwing it out there. We want you to come back with some money. Uh-oh. Black, I just told you, man. Blackjack and roulette is what the wife and I dab on. All right, listen, I don't have a text line. Again, you're not gonna, you can't call the show collect. We're not gonna be able to wire you money there, playing that continuous shuffling machine there. And watch the roulette table too, man. Make sure there's no magnets around. You saw what they did in Ocean's 11 with the magnets. Oh, they're slippery. I'm telling you, watch Sneaky Pete. Are you flying out of Denver International Airport? How long is that flight? Let us check. Denver to Bahamas flight time. You going? What is that? Is there a direct flight? Oh, so United goes from Denver to Nassau. Ooh, you dropped a little penny on those flights, brother. Got to go carry on, right? Lost 200 and gained 20 pounds on Royal Caribbean cruise. Well, you got screwed twice there, right? Oh my goodness. No, have fun. That's awesome. Have fun. I've never been on a cruise. That's something I might have to do. Maybe take like a 4-day cruise to Bermuda. That's not a bad play, right? That's not a bad play. Now I'm wondering. I have to make sure I can bring the Keekster. Death Star Mike's going to be here, man. It's going to be here. Denver to Houston to Nassau. Okay. No direct flight, huh? I saw that how about this? Speaking of flights, I watched this last night on 60 Minutes before we get out of here. the Argentinian, the kill flights, the death flights. Oh, what a piece! How they ran those death flights in the mid-70s, where they basically took all people that at the time they thought were going against a dictatorship, and they took them on these aircrafts, these helicopters, and they basically dropped them off into the ocean. Oh my God, it was unbelievable. Unbelievable. And they finally, after like 40 something years, they basically they dropped them. They stripped them of their clothes and they dropped them into the water so they can disappear forever and never be found. But they tracked down the pilots at the time, because the pilots were flying commercial flights out of Argentina, and they sentenced them to life in prison. Good. Yeah, what a piece. I don't know how we went from that to this, but yeah, it was before you or anyone goes on a cruise, watch the documentary. No, I refused. No, no, no. Not doing it. No, I'm not doing it. I don't even like the sound of that, Joey. I mean, Don, de facto, not doing it. Nope, I'm not doing it. I am passing. No, thank you. That is a hard pass. I would go on a Middays with Q promotional cruise, though. uh, Maybe we'll do that. Maybe we'll take the Q crew, and we'll go on a 3 to 4 day excursion. Bermuda would be the spot. Absolutely. Bermuda would. I'm not watching the poop cruise. No, that is horrible. No, I can't. I can't. What was that, Carnival, right? Is that Carnival? No, no, no. That is just that. I mean, that's horrible. Can you imagine? It's like sitting there on the tarmac and your plane not leaving for 15 hours. That's punishment. Punishment. Not doing it. All right, let me give you the plays. I mean, just the name. Just no. And you know I love watching a lot of stuff on Netflix, by the way. What do we got here for the picks? I think we went WNBA today. Did we not? Memory serves me correct. Yep. We got the Sun, getting 12 versus Storm. New York laying 7.5. And you know what? Because of all the nonsense going on with Cleveland, we're taking the Rockies plus 230 on the money line. I know the Rockies stink, but we're going to say a little distraction here for the Guardians tonight. All right, got to start wrapping up. Good stuff from you guys, as always, keeping us locked and loaded in for 2 hours. Want to remind you, we're on X, we're on Facebook, we're on TriX57, TriX57.com, YouTube channel at Rich Q on Q, Rich Quiñones, TikTok, Rich Q on the mic, posting some of our picks and plays later in the week. We also uploaded all the divisional previews up on Buzzsprout for Back Your Play portion of the show. That's the gambling pod, sports betting pod. So if you go to podcast, Amazon, Apple, Spotify, Podchaser, Podcaster, they're all up there. You guys can rate them. You guys can, comment on them, give them a listen. But all the previews, all the divisional previews, AFC, NFC, respectively, they're there. We're going to load up all the spots with Costco, too, for college football. We'll continue with him later on this week as well with some college football. Tomorrow, Lloyd Vance, Steve Gardner. Wednesday, Jonathan Marshall, Costco. And then don't forget Bueller on Friday as well. Have a good sports Monday. Enjoy the baseball tonight. Excellent stuff from you guys on X with the comments. I will respond as well on Facebook. I apologize if I didn't get to you, but don't forget to keep it locked and loaded on TriX57.com, local news, weather, and of course, sports. Joey, always a pleasure, my friend. We appreciate you chiming in. Good luck with that cruise, man. Stick that 200 in the front pocket. And like I said, stay away from the constant shuffling machines and roulette as well. All right, you guys have a fantastic Sports Monday. We'll be back in the saddle tomorrow from 4 to 6, as always, Monday edition of Middays with Q, powered by our good friends over at TriX57. As we like to say, Lunes Manolo Medio. So Man Up Monday is in the books for this 28th of July, 2025. Have a good night. We will talk to you mañana, as always, from 4 to 6. As we like to say, be safe, be sound. Hasta luego, buen día.